Now we're going to really shift gears, and we're going to jump in and start talking a little bit more about recruitment and our favorite topic of the day, which is AI. In all of my discussions with my peer group, I am hearing that recruitment is in a lot of organizations is the early adopters of that tinkering that we're seeing in AI. There's a lot of automation that can be done in this particular area. And I'm really excited to hear specifically how organizations are automating some of those legacy recruitment processes in a way to sort of expand that aperture and their talent pool in this really difficult time for talent. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Shiv Ramesh, and he's going to really share with you some real practical tips and share some insight. So please help me in welcoming him.
Thank you very much, everybody. So excited to be here today and presenting to you the most controversial and highly debated topic. I'm sorry, my mic just started working. So super excited to be here and going to be presenting to you the most debated, controversial topic, AI in recruitment. And that picture that you see right there is an exasperated look of a recruiter using AI. So a quick introduction about myself. My name is Shiv Ramesh. I'm a people analytics partner at Lululemon. I've been in this space for the last decade or so, crunching a lot of people data, finding insights, and making impactful decisions, hopefully. I want to start off this presentation with a very quick, inspiring story. In 1996, there was a devastating news that 80% of the coral reefs in the Florida Reef Tract has been destroyed due to rapid changes in climate, decreased coral calcification, storms, and a lot of bleaching events. This barren seafloor destroyed the ecosystem, affected a lot of marine species and aquatic life in that area. In 2007, a very interesting group of scientists from the Coral Research Foundation came up with an innovative strategies. So what they did was they created all these nurseries for coral plants underwater, spanning over an acre and a half in southern Florida. And effectively, they migrated all these different types of coral species to the ocean floor where the reefs once existed. Since the project took roots, it has created significant impact in the ecosystem. It changed the way the ecological balance was previously existed. So this brought in a lot of smaller species of fish to the coral reefs for food source and shelter, and a lot of larger predators were attracted to this area too, and they maintained the balance and maintained an ecosystem. Algae, anemones, and other organisms found their home there, creating a flourishing and thriving environment. The reason I'm telling you this story today is because the introduction of one aspect called coral reefs changed the way the ecological balance operated in the ocean floors. That leads me to signify the importance of symbiosis present in nature. And thinking of talent acquisition, we always need to understand that we need to have a symbiotic relationship with AI in recruitment processes, rather than viewing AI as a scary thing that's about to take jobs. What if we build a relationship where we effectively leverage AI to make efficient hiring practices, and at the same time, be aware and be cognizant of some of the pitfalls that might exist? So that leads me to the main theme of today's topic, and we are going to be answering just 3 simple questions. How to harness AI to increase the talent scope? How do we eliminate blind spots in our recruiting practices? How to establish a sustainable recruitment practice, move away from the legacy systems. So, in order to truly understand this case study and provide you with the most impactful insights, I actually took the last few months to informally interview a lot of subject matter experts. I reached out to the recruiters in this space and asked them like, hey, what's working, what's not working. I interviewed a lot of folks, and then I got high quality data. And now using this data, I categorized them into 8 different cards, from the most used to the least used when it comes to AI in recruitment processes. And again, I just want to throw a caveat that this is a newly evolving field and rapidly changing field too. So some of these could exist now, but then a couple of years down the line, this could completely evolve. So let's dive into the 8 main themes or 8 main cards that I've created here. The number one is assessing talent. While talking to a lot of these recruiters who are leveraging AI in their recruitment process, I understood that it's so important for recruiters to truly understand the job description. So one would go and like identify some of the key skills, experience, qualification, and background of employees and try to see how the alignment happens with the job description or the position. So this is more of a proactive approach in using AI for recruitment practices. The next card is identifying suitable candidates. This is slightly proactive too, and here's an interesting statistic. A lot of recruiters, on an average, spend 13 hours weekly trying to do candidate searches. However, AI can effectively streamline this process by scanning databases, job boards, and niche area like social media platform that wasn't available before. So this enables the recruiters to create personalized employee value proposition for each candidate and makes the outreach specific to their individual needs. So now moving to the third card, this is not a proactive approach, but this is like an operational aspect of using AI, is screening CVs and applications. So an interesting metric here that I found out, like on an average, for a high volume position, there are 250 job applications per opening. Handling such a huge volume can be very time consuming and challenging for normal recruiters. Now AI can streamline this process by scanning and extracting key information from CVs, identify education, experience, skills, and creating and evaluating candidates who are most suitable for the jobs. So they can drastically reduce the time involved in screening application and accelerate the hiring process. So going on to the next card, which I personally found very interesting, is background check. While I was talking to these recruiters, they mentioned that AI-driven background checks are very comprehensive and high quality. So instead of relying on just an external agency or manual background checks, AI-powered background checks looks at a diverse source of data that includes employment history, criminal records, and even reference checks to identify and flagging potentially risky candidates, thereby having the organization protected from some of these unanticipated risks. So number 5 is perhaps the most important card, because I found a statistic that said that 67% of highly qualified candidates applying for some of these positions valued timely updates and responses from the hiring team. Because job search can be a very uncertain and a very risky process, stressful process. So it's very important for candidates to be updated on the stage of interview they're at and how feedback from previous interviews, and more importantly, communication. So this isn't very surprising for me, and also it makes sure that high quality candidates actually accept these job offers from the companies. The next point, the next card, is digitizing interviews, which I found very interesting. And in fact, I've come across AI-powered digital video screening applications that lets users actually record themselves over a series of questions on a 1-minute responses. This enables the hiring team to cut short the time involved in scheduling interviews, dealing with time conflicts, and more importantly, also analyzing body language, communication skills, and job fitness of all these candidates. Going to the next card, generating job offers. So the last 2 cards here are not widely used or adopted, but I found it very interesting when I found recruiters actually used AI to generate consistent streamlined process in generating job offers. So automating job offers, reducing a lot of paperwork, and making sure compliance is in place helps in create quickly like generating job offers, which plays a significant role in candidates accepting these job offers. Which leads me to the last and final card, is something that happens after the employee has accepted the job offer, is streamlining the onboarding process. So onboarding or transitioning into a new company or new role can be extremely stressful, time consuming. So AI can automate a lot of this process, have effective like learning platforms and strategies, and help employees navigate complexities like 401k benefits and company policies. So that leads me to the 8 main themes or 8 main areas where I have found the most insightful and impactful use of AI from the subject matter experts who are the actual recruiters. Now that we discussed about some of the case studies, I would like to go on and showcase the pros and cons of leveraging AI in recruitment. Now, AI has a lot of advantages, as we know, but it's so important to be mindful of some of the pitfalls that AI can actually bring into the workspace. So starting off with the most important, or in no particular order, I would say one of the pros is enhanced recruitment quality. Leveraging like high quality data, building like machine learning models, and effective like data strategies, identifying patterns from like previous successful candidates, one can leverage this information to make informed decision making process in hiring the right candidate. At the same time, the downside is limited human interaction. So there are subtle cues that comes with body language, emotions, nuanced observations, which one cannot capture through data. A pro here is eliminating human bias. We all tend to carry unconscious biases. Now, AI is very objective and predefined. AI is going to effectively prevent unconscious biases when it comes to screening candidates. In fact, there is a study that mentioned 61% of recruiting professionals consider AI to be very unbiased. At the same time, the caveat is biased historical data. What if our inherent data in our system is very biased, very confined to a point where there is no diversity or inclusion in our historical data? In fact, this has happened in the past where there has been like an unconscious bias by AI in screening like Ivy League candidates, for example. So one has to be very mindful of that. And an effective way to prevent this from happening is constantly like revisiting our data sources. Having a panel of experts from the company, like the DEI experts, identify our historical data and see like, hey, is this data representative of all the groups? And does it align with our DEI strategy? Is an effective way to prevent this biased historical data problem. Going to the next pro, augmented talent diversity. So traditionally, recruiters use like specific channels for hiring qualified candidates, but AI can go a level further and identify like sources such as GitHub groups, even like social media channels, like specific niches that aren't like conventionally available to a lot of recruiters, overcoming a lot of geographical barriers to identify the perfect candidate who's willing to even move for the position. So this is one of very good pro for using AI in recruitment. A biggest con here is reliance on keywords. In fact, there's a viral TikTok trend that I came across recently where candidates just copy paste the job description in their resumes and change the font to white. So this is a way to trick AI into screening them. So one has to be very mindful of this. In fact, a strategy to prevent this is using not just keyword selection, but using an LLM. LLM can actually understand the context of the resume, identify the key points, and make effective decisions and prevent candidates from misusing the system. So the next pro is going to be cost saving. So as we have discussed before, there's a significant amount of cost saving from leveraging AI, from accelerated hiring processes to streamlining the interview processes, keeping employees updated on what stage they are in when it comes to their application, and also, most importantly, hiring the right candidate for the position and high quality candidate for the position would significantly reduce the turnover costs too. A con here is user adoption. A lot of recruiters fear AI actually. They see AI as a threat, something that could like take over their jobs. So there needs to be a really good change management practice that needs to be implemented, and also communicating, going back to that symbiosis relation, communicating the fact that like, hey, AI is here to help you, not replace you. So that would really help with like user adoption and helping recruiters leverage AI. The next pro is accelerated hiring process. It goes kind of in line with the cost saving and also like quickly screening the candidates and onboarding the candidates. The whole process has to be efficient, streamlined, and effective. Because like I mentioned before, applying for a job involves a lot of uncertainty and risks. So accelerating hiring process ensures that we get high quality candidates in the shortest amount of time. The final con, I would say, is integration issues. Quick shout out to Christine Schmidt from yesterday's conversation. You always have that one gnarly legacy system that doesn't really integrate well with a lot of other new generation AI tools. So it's important to be mindful of how the tool that we are implementing is going to help recruiters, but not add more work to them by making them do all these extra steps in their day-to-day activities. So with that, I would love to go to the final conclusion. These are some of my learnings or my insights that I have learned from talking to these recruiters and also from my own job experience. What should one be aware of when it comes to implementing AI in recruitment? It's very tempting to jump into AI in recruitment for cost saving, accelerated hiring, and getting high quality candidates. But at the same time, it's important to ask, is my organizational data ready for AI? Do we have high quality recruitment data from the past that we are collecting, that we build these models upon to be able to make effective decision making? Because if we don't have high quality data in the first place, our model is not going to be efficient in hiring high quality candidates. So it's important, so important to have an data infrastructure that supports this in the first place. So the second point from my personal experience is securing buy-in from the management. So managing the people side of change can be a very complex process. Like I mentioned in my previous slide, recruiters should be empowered by AI, not feel fearful of AI. So it's important to like have change champions who can inspire adoption amongst the recruiters, and also having the right like learning sessions to help them effectively transition into AI in recruitment. My final point, I think it's perhaps the most important, is regulatory compliance and ethical AI use. As you know, the field is growing a lot and significantly evolving, and there are a lot of regulatory frameworks that are emerging to promote transparency and fairness in AI recruiting practices. And one good example is New York's regulation requires disclosing of usage of AI in hiring practices. So being mindful of some of these policies and being compliant helps reduce unnecessary risks or fines that might, or pitfalls that might arise down the line. So with that being said, I would love to conclude my presentation, and please, I would love to connect with you all, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Hi, Michal from Metrolinx. My question really relates to, I think it was the box 4, which talked about using AI in screening. You mentioned automated video screening, assessing communication skills, body language. To me, there's a major risk for equity deserving groups if we think of people that have different cultural backgrounds, where the body language does not align with the dominant body language of the organization, or with neurodivergent candidates for whom body language might be very different, the communication style might be very different. How would you prevent those biases from being baked into your model and just perpetuating the exclusion?
Very good question. And in fact, I have noticed a lot of this like digital video recruiting platforms that captures all these factors like body language and communication skills. Now, coming from different cultures, it could be different. The way a positive notion could be perceived differently among different cultures. So, which is why it's so important for recruiters to make sure that like, hey, AI is not going to make this decision for us, but it's going to empower us in making decisions. A good example would be like analyzing the data and giving them insights for the recruiters to review that material and make informed decision making. So when recruiters are screening like diverse candidates, they are also aware of the emotions associated with that. Now, using that information along with AI, they are able to make informed decision making and not let preconceived biases affect their decision making process and not completely rely on AI for capturing some of these nuanced emotions like you mentioned. So finding that balance is the key. And as AI evolves, I believe that recruiters are going to have more information and having like more diverse understanding on how these nuanced emotions come into place.
Hi there, I'm Joel from Alberta Investment Management Co. My question is around specific tools, especially maybe in some of the like lower barrier to entry areas, like you mentioned like interview scheduling or like automation of that process. What tools have you seen being used that kind of worked well for that?
Good question. There are a lot of tools evolving and coming into place, but the most common ones that I've seen are like JobVite, HireVue, Zoho Recruit, and even we have our like sponsors like HireRoad that we should definitely check out, and also be mindful of like, are there like inbuilt in-house tools that a lot of companies use that are more like catered towards the company, and also making sure that compliance is the key when doing like video screening and like recruiting.
Hi there. Doug with Bank of Montreal. Might be a bit of a follow-up question on there, but I really liked your 8 tile slide. Strikes me that the vendor who can deliver a lot of that capability will be a winner. What's your sense of the vendor landscape currently? Specifically Workday, like I would suspect Workday would deliver some or a lot of that functionality, or it's definitely on their roadmap. Thanks.
That's a great question, and choosing the right vendor is the key. I think in one of my slides I mentioned about how the quality of your past data matters a lot when it comes to making informed decisions. So choosing the right vendor, one should be able to look into the different sources of data that they are using in hiring, like it could be recruitment channels or like talent pool, and also like backgrounds in extracting information from their resumes. So how are these vendors actually building their model? That would be the key. So my first question to the vendors would be like, can you actually tell me why this candidate is not selected? So being in black box models never work in my experience. And having a reasoning as to why a candidate is not selected is so crucial. So when we are screening for vendors, it's important to ask all these key questions and also see how some of their prediction or insights align with the company's strategy in making some of these decisions. So that's very key. And one final point I'd love to make is integration. How well is this vendor integrating with our existing systems? And you mentioned about Workday, that's a good example. So we have to be extremely cognizant of the fact that recruiters don't want to do additional work. They are overwhelmed and burnt out by the existing work that they have. So seamless integration is very crucial. When it comes to vendor and vendor selection, that should be a significant aspect into consideration.
Tom here at Sienna. Question around how you manage the change management. Like you said, a lot of recruiters not interested in AI, they're scared of it. It's a threat. So I've had an example where we've had a recommendation engine for candidates who apply for jobs. You know, it ranks them, it scores them. It even looks at people who haven't applied for jobs, who may be a good fit in the marketplace, in the company. Recruiters just simply didn't want to use it, right? They ignore it. How do you manage that change management to show them that this is something that should be kind of built into their process?
That's a great question. In fact, being in people analytics, that has been my huge challenge for a significant amount of years. We would build all these amazing systems, but we don't see the users actually using it. So effective change management involves securing buy-in from the right stakeholders. So are the key stakeholders are going to inspire action? Is the director of talent acquisition in on this project? Is he communicating that so effectively with all the recruiters? And also, going back to the point I was making earlier, is like AI is going to help make your work better. It's going to empower you, not replace you. So having that strong communication is so crucial. And also, I would say from a change management perspective, identifying change champions, not just the director of talent acquisition, but also identifying change management champions in different areas who can help accelerate learning. Because with any tool, there is a learning curve. And recruiters really don't want to like do additional learning. So that could be a barrier towards the adoption of the platform. So it involves like having the right buy-in, communicating and inspiring change and adoption, and also identifying change champion who create a lot of learning and training materials and help the recruiters effectively and seamlessly go into the process of using AI in recruitment.
Hey, sorry, my name is Peter. I'm from HP. My question is more around how you balance ethics and efficiency. So in that example you used about video interviewing, the candidate never makes it to the recruiter to make a decision. They're filtered out automatically. So what frameworks are you applying to ensure that doesn't happen, especially when practices globally vary based on privacy legislation, based on whether we report on DEI or don't report on DEI? So how do you deploy these models within a governance and ethics framework that really supports doing that?
Absolutely. So governance and ethics, having a strong governance and ethics policy is very crucial for the recruitment teams. So when it comes to digital platforms, asking key questions such as, what are the questions that we are asking these candidates? Where is the information being stored? And how we are using that information to make effective decisions? And being able to clear that communicately with management and also compliance boards. So let's say, for example, we cannot eliminate a candidate saying that like the body language doesn't match, so I don't like this candidate. That's not a good answer. But a combination of factors such as skills, background, experience, along with body language could help us tell a better story. So where is this data being stored? How is it being utilized? And being mindful and wary of all the compliance frameworks existing in our system is so key for the companies. So, and like I mentioned, it's a constantly evolving field. So one has to constantly learn and see like, hey, is this digital video recording platform actually making sense? And if not, we should actually like transition into a different type of screening process.
So are you depending on the vendor for that, or are you depending on your organization?
I would depend on the organization primarily, and vendor is going to provide a value addition to our organization's strategy. So reliance on vendor is perhaps going to be not a good idea, because vendor is supposed to provide a service, but it's the organization's responsibility to ensure the ethical and the governance frameworks are satisfied.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Shiv. Good job.